Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the weekly download. My name is Mitchel Dumlao, and I am so thrilled to have you today again on the weekly download. I appreciate you being here, and I hope you had a great weekend and you're ready for an amazing week. Summer is over, and it's time for the fall, and it's coming. Winter is coming, and so this is the time of the year where a lot of those budgets, the holiday budgets, are coming into play. And so for all you video business owners out there and videographers, this is a really good time for you to actually start pitching and start getting more work during the holiday season. And one of the things that you need to have when it comes to pitching is really good social skills. So today we're going to be talking about how to have work on your social skills. I have some tips and some hacks and some techniques that you can use to work on your social skills so you can become more likable as someone who is a shy, introvert, creative. Now, I understand this because I used to be, and I kind of still am, a shy person. And it's hard for me to actually go in front of a group, let alone a business meeting, and pitch a product or my project or my company without getting very nervous and getting sweaty palms and my heart racing. I'm actually taking Toastmasters lessons and going to Toastmasters so I can work on my public speaking. Even though I have a podcast, I've been on stages, I've done panels, I still get that nervous, jittery feeling, and I want to be able to be better with that so I can speak to larger audiences live and as well as just performing. But one of the biggest things I've learned when it comes to business and actually social skills like networking and go to film festivals and just being a person in this world where you need to have a tribe, where you need to talk to people, there's a few things that I've learned that's going to help you get over that first bump, and it'll remind you throughout a conversation what to do so you can come off as a likable person and also learn about the person you're talking to in a way where they feel appreciated and significant. And one of the best things that I've learned is the whole idea of just knowing someone's name, remembering it, and then repeating it. I know this is a very self-explanatory thing, but people forget this. And I think that especially if you're in a business meeting or in a networking situation, try your best to remember the person's name. There are a lot of techniques out there where you can look at the person, see if they're wearing a blue shirt or glasses or a purse, and you can say something that rhymes with one of the things they're wearing or a color that they're wearing. Whatever it is, really remember the person's name and repeat it in the conversation. So if I'm talking to John, I'll say, hey, great to meet you, John. That's great. And somewhere along the conversation, repeat the name again. Like, John, that's a great point. I want to, admire you and tell you more about, what I do on my side. Anyways, that's a very simple but very effective way for you to come off as someone that is actually paying attention to the conversation. All right. Another thing is, this just came up to me right now, and this is actually, I'm just going to add this to this. There's a conversation framework that I learned from a group called Summit, and it's called CARDS. And it's basically asking a clarifying question, or you show appreciation for the person and what they said, or you you tell the person that you resonate with their story, or that you reflect something about their story. And then you have deepening questions, and then you have a small s, which is a small suggestion. So when someone says something and it's your turn to talk, you can ask them a clarifying question. So all right, so you're talking about, you have a dog. So what kind of dog do you have, right? And then appreciation is like, I appreciate you talking about your dog, because most people at business meetings will get straight to the point when it comes to, business. Then you have the resonating statement or a question. You know what? I have a dog too. It's great that we both have a dog. And then there's deepening questions. Oh, so you have a dog, so why did you get a dog? What's the reason why you got a dog in the first place? And then a small s is suggestion. This is if they're asking for suggestions. And this is something that I've learned. I have to actually correct myself sometimes. And not everybody wants a suggestion. Every time when somebody talks about, a problem they're having, an issue they're having, yes, one of the tips on here is giving value and help, which we'll talk about later. But sometimes when someone's having a hard day, you not go in there trying to be the solution and the problem solver. Sometimes people just want to hear you say that you're with them and that you feel for them and you are taking part in the suffering with them, not just trying to tell them what to do. Because most people have tried everything that they've canned to solve a very deep and hard problem. And for you to come in saying, have you even tried this? It's a little insulting sometimes. So this is if somebody came in with a very dark or not dark, but a very, personal problem. And if they're not asking for a suggestion, don't ask for a suggestion. But if it's something like a dog, you'd be like, hey, I just found this really great kibble online that my dog likes. You should check it out. It's called Iams. And so that's a really great framework for me whenever I have a conversation with someone. Remember, it's cards. And it's a really great way for you to have a conversation that is not one-sided. It's a two-way street. Okay. Now that's the second point. Now it's the third point I was going to say is ask deepening questions. That's one of the most important things when it comes to a conversation. You don't want to be the person that keeps on talking. If you're always talking, you're never going to really learn more about the other person you're talking to. You also look very selfish. Okay. It's conversation a two-way street. And if you want to come off as somebody that's actually caring about the other person on the other side, you really want to ask questions. And plus, it's a conversation. It's not just a monologue. Okay, a dialogue is when two people are talking. So ask deepening questions. Ask clarifying questions. Be curious. I think when you're a shy introvert, sometimes you don't know what to say next. The easiest thing to do is just ask a question about the subject you were just talking about. And then if it gets super boring, then y'all just say goodbye. Great conversation. But that's a really great way to keep the conversation going, okay? Another great way to, another good technique or a trick or something to do when you are talking to someone is to repeat what people have to say so they can show them that you're listening, okay? So when someone is having, a very deep conversation and then they ask you, so what do you think? And then you say, yeah, that's cool. And then you go on to your point. It sounds like you didn't even know what the other person was talking about or weren't even listening. So what I'd like to do is to summarize what someone has to say. It's great for a business meeting too, because if someone is talking about the next steps or they're talking about their business and you say, okay, great. Thanks for telling me that. I can see that your business is 10 years old. You've been in the game of CPG for a long time. And right now your goal is to get more sales. I totally understand. You know what my business does? We help people get more sales using video content. If it's social skills, if someone's just talking about, where they're from, it's like, oh, great. So you're from New York and you have 3 brothers and you're really close to your mom. So tell me more about your family and when's the last time you saw them? So it's a really great way for you to also remember what they just said. I think that every time I repeat something in a conversation, it helps me remember what the other person was saying. And it helps me also keep on my toes and pay attention. Okay, it's a really great way to show the person that you're listening and helps you retain the information that they're saying. Another thing too is reciprocation and also mirroring. So reciprocation, mirroring, reciprocation is more like if they give you something, you give them something. They give you something, you give them something back, or vice versa. But if it's a conversation, mimicking or reciprocation means gestures and also tone and also, actions. So if someone is laughing, it's great to also laugh too, unless it's a really bad joke. But it's also mimicking their gestures. If they cross their arms, you can cross your arms. If they cross their legs, you cross your legs. If they sit back, they sit forward. You don't want to do it in a way where you're doing it at the exact same time and you're mirroring the person, because then that looks like you're just making fun of them. Or you're just so awkward that you're just following every single person's move. I like to keep it like a 10-second delay, 15-second delay, or in the middle of a sentence that I'm saying, that I cross my arms when they cross their arms and mimic what they're doing, because that's actually there's a scientific reason behind that. And they've done studies behind this, that people like to see someone who is doing something similar or mimicking their actions. And that's a really great way for you as well, not to be stuck in a position the whole time, unless they just crossing your arms and looking very static. This is a business and also a social trick that a lot of people use, and so that it's a really great way for someone else to look at you as paying attention, and also you're appreciating them as a person. I don't know what it is. It's in the like switch. It's also in a few business books as well. There's also, I forgot what the name of the book is, Influence. If you read the book Influence, it's the same thing. Mimicking someone's movements during a conversation actually elicits someone's likability. Okay. And then the last thing is providing value or help as the linchpin. Now, again, you don't want to come in and, be the problem solver of every single thing that they have to say. You want to be a problem solver or someone who gives value that towards somebody who has something that you believe is going to really help them with their business or personal life, or is going to be a way for you to connect them with somebody else. Okay. So let's say it's a business meeting and you're someone who creates videos, but they're looking for someone to design websites. Be that linchpin and provide help. Just be like, hey, you know what? Send me what you're looking for. I have some buddies or I have some friends who design websites, and I'd love to connect you with them or whatnot. And what I like to do in conversations is I always ask, so how can I be of service to you, or how can I help you? Is there anything I can help you with? Most people will say, hey, no, it's okay, everything is fine, but at least you offered. I've had people say, yeah, I need some help. And, I almost feel like, oh man, I've been caught. What can I help them with? But it doesn't have to always necessarily be you to solve the problem. Okay. If they ask, like someone just asked me, I'm looking for a copywriter for a Kickstarter campaign. I don't write copy for Kickstarter campaigns, but I went online, I did research, I found, platforms where you can hire copywriters. And at the same time, I found agencies that would offer help for Kickstarter launch campaigns. So what I did is I just gathered all that information and sent it off. And the person was super appreciative and is actually a lead, and hopefully they become a client. And when it comes to social interactions, and at the end of a conversation, you hear someone loves bow hunting or loves archery, then it's like, hey, you know what? I love to introduce you to a friend of mine who also likes bow hunting, or someone who is into archery. Or if it's something about creativity, like you can say, hey, you know what? There's ACL is coming up pretty soon. I know some pretty cool parties. I mean, I can send you a list of all the places that I'm going to, some networking events that I've know of, and that way you can just make a new friend. And if anything, you have a really great lead that can eventually turn into a really good friendship and then a business relationship. So those are some tips and some techniques. I hate saying techniques, but it's really just some tips, tricks, and hacks or whatnot for you to look and appear more social in a situation like a business meeting or a social gathering, and you're more of a shy, introverted creative. Now, these things or these techniques or these tricks or these actions or things to do or methods are a really great way for you to practice yourself as someone that can pay attention during a conversation and also understand human beings in general. When you start using these, you're going to start noticing a few things about conversations that are very universal. And to me, a lot of these are universal. Knowing someone's name is so universal. Asking questions is super universal. Also, repeating what people are saying is great. I've used it for a lot of situations, and people really appreciate that. And mimicking visual cues, you can take that if you want, but it's based on science. And of course, providing value. Who doesn't want help? And again, it has to be short, small, a lowercase s, because sometimes people, if you come off like, hey, I'll help you with everything, it makes them look like you look like you're very thirsty, or they look like they don't know what they're doing, or it can come off offensive, like you're just you are the know-it-all. Then you're like just trying to solve everyone's problems because you're the smartest person in the room. All right, so hopefully this was helpful. I did this because just the past week, I signed up for Toastmasters, and I was talking to a friend of mine about, social situations coming out of the pandemic and how people nowadays have lost the whole art form of talking and conversations and friend building and social interactions. And these things or these methods and hacks and tips and tricks has helped me throughout the years. And also recently, when it comes to meeting new business contacts, pitching projects, business meetings, networking events, and just making new friends. All right. Hopefully this was helpful. Thanks again for watching. Again, my name is Mitchel Dumlao. This is the weekly download. And if you have any questions or you have any suggestions of what I should talk about next, please leave a comment below or email me at mitchel@videocontentschool.com, or you can DM me. And if you like this video, please like, comment, and share this with anyone you think would find this helpful. And I really appreciate you being here, and I'll see you next week. Bye.